Guys, welcome back to the Arsenio Buck Show. Welcome back to Feast Week interviewee number 2. Oh, today, yes, indeed, I'm bringing on and have on one of my most favorite individuals in the world because she's so soft-spoken, but she packs so much knowledge. And you know what? She can inspire birds to swim. But nonetheless, guys, we have Isabel here. I don't know where that came from. It just came out. But nonetheless,
we do have geese outside.
Oh, we do have geese. There are birds that swim. Oh my God! Oops. A pigeon to swim. Anyways, oh, that's so funny. Jesus, penguins are probably a part of a bird too. They got wings. Anyway, so here we are today. We're bringing some more gratitude. And Isabel has such a remarkable story. So, Isabel, I'm not even sure if I brought you on to my personal development podcast, but it's all good. People know who you are. Sociologist, you're a coach. You do a lot of great things. And if they don't, they can check you out everywhere else. But nonetheless, Isabel, gratitude. I want you to tell them about the story you had before. No, not the story you had before, but basically you being a little bit out of sync over the last, I don't know, X amount of weeks, months. And then boom, just like that. Voila!
Just like that.
The ideas came. That past life came to the present life, and you began to take over. So anyways, I want you to share the story with everyone out there.
Have you ever done any acting before? Like, this is incredible. And I think it's the ever first interview where someone says, just Google her name. You figure it out.
That's the first time I'm like, okay, just go from here to there and we'll go from there. You know what I mean? And there's no
just Google my name. Just don't forget the D before the T. Hunt, H-E-N-D-T.
But make sure, and guys, I will be putting all her links in the description, so do not forget that. Oh, just to clarify, because Isabel's like, good, no one's ever gonna know me. Oh my God, no, you guys will know her. So
I really don't even worry too much about that. But yes, let's get right into it before
you fall asleep.
A big time difference. Yeah, it's pretty dark out, and it's full moon, so the energy is pretty heavy right now. It's like, whew.
Is that right? Whew, I
it is right. It's actually right out here. It's right looking at me. It's actually really fabulous, like the big full moon. It's called a frost moon. Didn't know that, but that's what it is. Frost moon. We had just snow. We have 10 degrees Fahrenheit right now.
That is ridiculous. See, I don't know. Who was I talking to just recently? No, I think someone in Minnesota. There we go. One of my, she follows my ESL podcast, Brazilian, and she's doing some financial stuff out there in Minnesota. She said it's like minus 20 Fahrenheit. And I was like, where the hell do you live in the north, the Arctic? Like right there on the ice. Mm-hmm. But then someone else told me that it was like 20 degrees. It was someone I just talked to. Oh my God.
We have a wind chill of 2 degrees.
And guys, this isn't Celsius, okay? 2 degrees Celsius is okay. That's probably about, I don't know, 37, 38 Fahrenheit. I may be wrong by about 5 degrees or so.
About that, yeah.
No,
that's negative. That's about negative 17.
2 Fahrenheit,
Celsius.
Negative 17?
Something like that. Yeah, 15, negative 15. Yeah.
For everyone out there, that's a place that you don't want to go. So, of course, Isabel lives in Indiana. So don't go to Indiana. So, anyways,
it's not typical. It's not typical. For some reason, that's just what happened. But anyways, so yeah, the full moon is great. So we were talking. Those who know my story a little bit know that I moved from Germany to the US a couple years ago, and it's been an incredible journey so far. And for the longest time, it's been now 8 years that I have been doing, in particular, coaching, transformational coaching, with a focus on emotional healing. I'm an emotions clearing practitioner in particular, and I help very highly sensitive empath warriors to understand the spiritual side of their emotion, how to use that in their gift for a greater good. So over the last 8 years, and I love working with my clients, it's just great, but I also get bored quite easily. So if I don't have something like going on and do something different, I just get restless. And over the last year or two, I really got a little restless with the coaching industry in particular. It just didn't resonate with me the way most people present their business, or how suddenly anyone can be a coach. I'm a sociologist. My background is actually in sociology and psychology, and then I got my certification in coaching. So I got a little frustrated with that, and that has more to do with me than anyone else, really. And so just 2 months ago, I was like to my husband, something needs to change. I just really want to make an impact more visibly, not just talking about it. And yeah, I coach people and it's great, but there needs to be something else. Like I'm called to do something else with that. So I went to bed and I watched a documentary by Kyle Cease. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Real great conversation. He was interviewing a guy who was just out of the blue hanging up huge billboards with the word love on it. And no advertising, nothing that was pointing back at him that he would make money off of that. And someone told Kyle Cease about it, and he contacted him and said, hey, I love what you do. I'm going to buy you 2 more billboards. They're like $950, something like that. And he spent his last money just to spread love. It went to the point where it actually in Russia, they have a sign of his love billboard as well. And it was just a simple act that people responded to and really appreciated on their way to work and home. And I was like, well, that's so simple. What is something that I can do that is so simple, but yet so profound? And I thought of all my speaking topics and my speeches that I've written, but never really was able to use yet. Because even the speaking industry is quite tricky sometimes if you have a message that is somewhere in between and not like business related or entrepreneur related in particular, but when it's more to cultural transformation, because that's what I do. That's my overall message, is made to rise. So I'm like, well, why am I waiting for someone else to give me a chance to do something bigger? Why not doing it myself? So I talked to my husband about it, and he looks at me and he's like, why don't you create a documentary? Like, what do you mean? I have no idea about a documentary. Like, why would I do a documentary? Like, well, you use a specific exercise for speaking engagements, and they're always so profound, but yet so simple. Why don't you use that and use your degree as a sociologist and create some social study around the documentary and how people connect on a soul level, on a deep level, and what fears show up, what is really going on in terms of our culture, our identity, how we identify with ourselves and our culture, right? And so I was like, okay, well, let me sleep on that. And so I slept on it, and most of the ideas come to me in my dreams. And next morning I meditated on it, and we just talked about it. I usually use music on YouTube, but I never really get interrupted because I have just one specific music. But that day in the morning, it got interrupted. I'm like, what in the world? Like, I have 30 minutes. Don't interrupt my 30-minute meditation. That's crazy. But what came up was Jason Momoa with his new... It's crazy, right? With his new his television series called C-S-I-C-U. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. Let me look at the trailer. 5 minutes gone right there. But anyways, I was like, darn, Jason, that's not cool. That was my meditation time. Right. But what it talks about is how 100 years ago, God took away eyesight from the people so that the earth can heal. And only the fittest survived, because not many people were able to just feel and just be with the environment without being able to see. And I think a lot of blind people can relate to that, because they have to feel their way. And we don't do that anymore because it needs to go fast. Right. You can't feel when you're in a fast-paced society. Right. And I'm like, well, that's a weird sign, because my hashtag is I See You movement. It has been for many years in connection to Made to Rise. I'm like, all right, maybe I'll see that as a sign. So I just had talked to a few people, like, oh, I have this idea, but I don't know how this is going to work, and if it's going to work, and what to do with it. And suddenly it just took its own path. Like, literally, I sat here and suddenly people showed up in my life, and And all I could think about was how can I create $100,000 budget, because that's what it came down to once I calculated the numbers and did the pitch deck and all that,
Right.
including advertising and submitting it to film festivals. This is all money that is not quite there right now because, well, personally, my business pays for the people that work for me and everything else, and I'm not in the 7-figure earners. I think most people lie about that anyways, but anyway.
Yeah. I have an 8-figure business. You bullshit. Your network is
I help people to make it to 7 figures. Okay. But anyways, that was not the point.
Right.
But what I was going for, I said to my husband, like, well, we can't use our personal funds because we're going through this adoption process right now. We're still waiting. And if a match suddenly shows up and we don't have any money because we put in documentary, well, there is something else that we worked for 2 years going.
Right.
And so I'm like, all right, I'm just trusting in the process. If this is taking its form as it has right now, everything will work out.
Yep.
And suddenly I felt this really deep sense of gratitude, this just ease and grace, and just like being in the flow. I started to meditate more and just letting it go. This whole entire project started to come together with the right people. If it's videographer, cinematographer, a script writer, they all came to me and said, we love your message. We're standing behind it. We want to do this with you. Mm-hmm. And suddenly I have this incredible team, and I'm just looking around like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what to do. Like, I've never had that. People were just coming to say, hey, I want to help you. And they actually stick to it. A lot of times there are requirements like, hey, if I help you, then you need to do this or blah, blah, blah. And I've never just had people come and say, I just do this for you. I want to do this for you and with you. And there is no attachment. I'm like, oh my gosh, God, like this is an experience that I have yearned for. And the moment I gave up on like, well, it doesn't really matter. Like, I'm not attached to how much money I make because it's not necessarily paying our bills. It's like, oh, okay, well. And the more gratitude I experienced, the faster things went. And people were like reaching out, like, wait a second, you just talked about that 2 weeks ago. You now already have a team. Like, you're manifesting your ass off. They literally like, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. I didn't even notice that. Right. But the more gratitude I felt and the more peace I had internally. And sometimes the gratitude was so... There are nights where I sit here and I just look at everything that we have created already within such a short amount of time that I feel like crying, like good cry, like this overjoy, this over intense feeling of gratitude and joy and bliss. And the more I feel that, like I said, the more just things come together easily, very easily. And sometimes I find myself getting in my head, like, oh, I need to create the questionnaire. I need to create this. And I don't have any ideas right now. And all I keep hearing, do one thing at a time. Every time you're supposed to do that, it will come exactly when you need it. Oh. And just that level of trust is related to the level of gratitude that I have. Because every time, like, I need this questionnaire for next Monday. I needed to send it out to my script editor and to another social worker to see if she can look at, like, hey, does that even make sense in how I ask the questions? And when I needed to get it done, I sat down and had it done within 10 minutes. When I had to write the trailer, or I had to get all the information for the trailer, or even write out like a summary for potential sponsors, I was dreading it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. And then suddenly I heard this voice again. You will have the information and you will have the right words when you need it. And so every time I sit down, I'm like, oh, today it feels like I want to do this, or I feel like I'm ready to do this. It just was done within 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And every time it was like this incredible sense of gratitude, like this Thanksgiving. I'm like, oh my gosh, I am one with all that is. Everything is in favor of me and my calling and my purpose. Everything is aligned when I just let it. And it's just so beautiful because I can wake up in the morning with ease without having to think of my long to-do list, because I know that I get everything done that I need to in a short amount of time if I honor my needs in doing this. And that now looks totally different. And that is something that literally scared me a little bit, because I had to change my routine. I now have to take a few more naps. I have to meditate more, because it's almost like this constant download, a divine download, and that's quite draining energetically. So I need more rest to put that all into place, because my brain is just thinking the whole time. Now, how can we get this more intense? How can we really step into the meaning of the documentary, which I don't think we ever mentioned what the documentary is called. It's called The Power of Connection, Shattering Cultural Barriers and Engaging in Cultural Transformation Through Self and Emotional Awareness, which is my work, which has been for many, many years. Right. And I want to make this real visual for people, like really feeling it and seeing what's going on in our subconscious, so that we become more aware of why we respond and react a certain way to certain people that we see, and some of the prejudice and judgments and biases, those kind of things. Even then I could feel myself like slipping back into the worry state. Like I was worrying about, okay, so we have enough money to pay for little things, but we don't have any money to pay for anything bigger, like if we need someone for animation, which we probably will. And then all I heard in the meditation is that abundance is not about money. I just heard this divine voice that said, I promised you to provide everything that you need. I never told you what that looks like. So trust. And that provision was that people showed up and said, yes, we want to do this. Like KJ, our cinematographer, 4 weeks. For 4 weeks, he sent me a message like, hey, I can do some of your website stuff. I can do some of your editing. Like, do you need any help with anything? And I didn't respond to him because I felt bad for not being able to pay him what he deserves for the work that he does. He is incredible at what he does. And he has the experience. But he just kept coming back, and God was like, I'm putting it right in front of you and you're not taking it. Yeah. Like, what the like, why are you not taking it? Like, because I don't have the money. I'm like, I never told you that I will provide you the money. I said I will provide. Like, oh, so I have to be grateful for the people that show up and say thank you.
Right.
Thank you. And just receiving. I think gratitude is a lot about being open to receive and saying yes to the things that may feel uncomfortable. Like for me, I feel like I'm taking advantage of them, which is not the truth. And they know that. And I know that about myself. I'm not a person who would just say, oh yeah, let's do all this and I will never pay you. And let's take advantage of you guys and your gifts and your skills. It just was a story that I had to work through. A lot of trapped emotions came up for me and stories that I had to let go throughout the process, but everything was related to gratitude. And that was, so far, I mean, we're still in the very beginning stages, but the impact it has made, just not on my life, but also the people that are involved in this entire project, just from a place of gratitude that allows you to be in the flow, that allows you to receive in all kinds of different ways. That was the profound message for me and the lesson for me to learn. If I really step into it, if I really acknowledge the role that I play, not just in my own life, but within the collective energy, you're always provided for. You just have to say yes. And once you say yes, it shows up. And if when it does show up, say yes and say thank you. And don't go, but that's not how I wanted this to. No, I said I needed $100,000 so that I can pay people. Yeah. And the divine was like, well, but brought you the people so you don't have to pay the $100,000.
Right.
Sometimes I wonder what the conversations are like. Our spiritual guides and angels, I'm like, oh my gosh, you still didn't get it. But you know, but this entire, yeah, it just brings forth such a tremendous influx and energy of gratitude in flow. It's incredible. So yeah, it's been an incredible experience, amazing experience over the last 2 months, to seeing how everything is unfolding, and that we can trust in our path, that we can trust in our journey and see it unfold if we just focus on the yes and the receiving, but as well as understanding that the energy that we're giving out is also the giving and receiving. So if we're all about worrying, I'm like, yeah, but I need this to go this way, and now I'm not provided this way, we will not be able to see what is already there, what we're already ready to receive, you know? And I think what helps us with gratitude, and why this is so significant, is because it helps us see what is already there.
I see. So metaphorically speaking, it's kind of like having seeds that are already present in the soil. And then all you have to do, the water would be the gratitude. And then when you begin watering it, you know, those seeds begin blossoming, and then it makes you even more grateful in the moment. And then that continues to grow, and you keep pouring more of that gratitude water onto those plants, or whatever you want to call it, the ideas, and it continues growing more and more. But a lot of people, they're not, you know, I guess the human mind in general, we're just so predisposed to be a negative than we are positive. So for that long-term negative person out there, we all know them. Hell, you know, a lot of, you know what I mean. And I know
I'm not sure that this long-term negative person is listening to your podcast.
That's true. Because my energy is unfathomable. They would go crazy and say, "Oh, I've had enough. He's too happy." You know what I mean?
They would get triggered the whole time. Yeah.
But again, you go into meditation, being in your oneness, being able to tap into that inner, you know. But a lot of people don't meditate. They think it's this, they think it's that. But nonetheless, when it comes to gratitude, like me, I don't know. I just feel like everything that has happened here in Thailand up to this point, I'm so grateful for, because I see everything. I see what's happening.
Yeah.
All of those things that have happened to me in the past has set me up for all these amazing things. I just shared with you that I just got an unbelievable, you know, offering to teach at a Japanese company. Well, actually, no, it's to train Japanese employees on presentations, which is, of course, is my fortitude. It's my dungeon. You know what I mean? Well, maybe not a dungeon. It's like it's something good, better. You know, dungeon's kind of like relatable to something bad. You know what I mean? But it's my sanctuary. There we go. So, but could that have happened if I always had that mindset probably about a year ago, saying, "Oh, I deserve more money. I deserve more money. I deserve this. I deserve this. I deserve this." See, that's kind of ingratitude. And Eric Thomas says, you're making the other people rich, but you're not focused on your own internal goals. You're not listening to that inner GPS. Therefore, you feel like you're being underpaid, but that's because, again, you're making someone else. You know what I mean? So I could pick out so many things that have happened in my life.
I think something that we need to understand, our society is so driven by money that it's almost our lesson to not depend on money to be happy, or to feel like we need money to reach a certain goal. Like with that documentary, will I ever need money for the documentary? Maybe not. Nope. Maybe just people will show up. I'm like, hey, I'll give this opportunity to you. I'll do this for you. I want to pour into you for whatever reason. It might be a trade with something else, you know, hey, I'm helping you out here and we're helping out here. So, but we're so focused, especially when it comes to gratitude or abundance. Like, how many meditations are out there that are about fortune, attracting more money into your life. How many are on YouTube? Because people are craving it. It's like, if I have that, then I can. But what
you
if you
resist it more,
can?
right?
Yeah.
Is that what
Because
it
you
is?
become angry. You become angry. Kyle C said something. He spoke at Agape Life Church with Michael Beckwith.
Yeah, that's
Michael
my
Beckwith
man. I
Church.
love that man.
Yeah. Oh, well, they're all amazing, and that's what we're now actually attending online. We're not going to California, but he was saying, well, most people look at money. If everything is energy, then money, the energy around money is not much different than your energy. Like, we're just showing up in different forms. Now, pretend you're going on a date with that energy of money. Let's call this guy Manny, just to make the step away from the money correlation in your head.
Right.
Let's call that person Manny. You're going on a date with Manny, and you're sitting there across from them, and he's like, man, there's never enough of you. Like, I don't even understand what's wrong with you. Like, you're not enough, and you always just create like bad luck for someone, and it's only the rich that get you, that get to take advantage of you, and you just suck. Like, you really suck. Would Manny stay? Probably not. Manny would say, well, if you don't actually even want to be with me, then why should I stay here? And would leave. He's like, that's the same. That's what we create with money, especially even focusing on abundance in terms of money the entire time. We just, for some reason, we have this correlation between money and abundance. That's it. Money equals abundance.
Right.
But that is not true. That is not true. If that were to be true, I would still try to figure out how to even start this documentary. It wouldn't be where we're at now. And I'm learning that now in a very, very tangible way. And, I'm not even blaming people who are still in that mindset of like, I don't even have enough or can't do this, because it's real. It feels real. Yet what you can ask yourself, if someone finds themselves in a situation and they notice it, what they can ask themselves is the question, what is my lesson in this? It's not like, what can I do better? Because in that very moment, you believe you're not where you should be, and this is not who you are supposed to be. But what if you are where you should be, and this is who you are supposed to be in that very moment, because there is this lesson in your current situation. So asking yourself, what is the lesson, shifts it, to a different perspective of, what can I learn from this? Like, where is my mindset not in alignment with true abundance, talking about love, talking about compassion, talking about empathy, talking about forgiveness. Maybe you cannot move forward money-wise because there is something inside of you that still needs to be forgiven, or someone. Maybe you're angry at your parents for never teaching you the right way to handle money. Right. So there needs to be some forgiveness happening before you can even move forward. If you don't, you just walk in a circle. Like, it's the same cycle over and over with a different scenario, and you wonder why you end up in it. So gratitude is something that helps us to elevate our energy, in particular, our body's frequency, and it allows us to tap into the energy of something that is related, to that. It's like a magnet. If you're in a state of gratitude, you automatically attract different things than when you're in a state of complaint. When you think about it, what kind of lesson is in this? You start to take responsibility. With responsibility, you again elevate your frequency, because you actually have a choice in how you want to relate to that situation. If you play the victim role, well, then there is not much I can give you in advice right now, besides maybe you should acknowledge that you're in victim role and make that conscious, intentional decision that I am actually in decision mode, and I choose to step outside of it and taking responsibility for where I'm at and trying to figure out what is the lesson so that I can pass and move on.
Oh, so much goodness. When you were talking about the lesson, when you were talking about the lesson, it brought me back to what I just said on a podcast yesterday, which I heard from another, what is it? He's like like motivational speaker, whatever. And he said, could you be more committed? So would you be committed to the progress? Would you be committed to the process, even and become emotionally detached from the results? Committed to the process. Don't worry about the results. I mean, if you think about it, if I get an NFL player or any kind of player, and I say, listen, this year I've already psychic you out and everything. I'm the oracle. I'm the messiah. You will not win a championship. So why are you here? I can tell you right now that maybe not a lot of them, because of course they're more committed to the money. But if they were playing for free, just like most human beings out here, because they don't understand the habit of doing more than paid for. Although the people you are attracting into your documentary, they believe in that, which is phenomenal. That's what I sense right now. But would they say, oh, well, if I'm not going to get any money, I'm not going to do any of this? A lot of people would be exactly like that, because they're not committed to the process. Yes.
And something that I'm noticing too, and I'm going to be honest about that I think is part of that I knew that, but it just now really became conscious because I have the other side of the coin now present to me, tangible, where especially when you create your business, if it's coaching, if it's something else, like even if you teach someone how to create podcasts, what's in it for me is the income. So most of us create a business from what's in it for me. The documentary, there is no really what's in it for me, because there is no budget, there is no money available that I can say, yeah, I can throw this all into it and then we're making it a huge deal. I really have to trust in the entire process of this entire project. There's nothing in it for me. I cannot be attached to the outcome because I cannot control it. It's so obvious because it wouldn't be as obvious if I would have $100,000 in my bank account. I wouldn't, if I had all this money, I wouldn't trust in the process. I wouldn't be committed to the process. I would be attached to the outcome because I need to make the money work. So the question really is, especially when it comes to gratitude, what's in it for me? Am I asking myself the question, am I creating a business? Am I working from a perspective of what's in it for me? Or more so from a perspective, how can I serve? And not in a sacrificial way. A lot of people understand serving as I'm sacrificing something, especially people with a religious background. We are taught that we have to sacrifice our lives. We have to sacrifice something because that's what Jesus did. Not true. He served. There was no sacrifice, because sacrifice is something that always creates resentment.
Yes. That is that.
Serving is coming from a heart, with joy, from a giving heart, free, without attachment. Sacrifice, you have an attachment. And that's what I'm realizing too, with creating a business. When I'm asking myself the question of what's in it for me, or when I create from a perspective of what's in it for me, I sacrifice. I sacrifice something much more valuable, which is a mission and a passion. Does that make sense?
So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and especially the sacrifice in creating resentment, obviously. Because if you have two children and you sacrifice one soccer game to go to this one, that's going to create resentment on this half.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So again, this could be for anything in life. If there are two parties and you have to sacrifice one, the other one, that resent will be created.
Exactly. But if you come from a place of choice, a place of serving, you're not even sending that energy out of I sacrificed you for this.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like if there is a mutual understanding of I'm serving this team today by being present, and next time I'm serving your team being present, or whatever. That, like, we're not having to say it this way, we're not in the Middle Ages anymore, but
Right, right.
that it's the energy, that we're sending out. It doesn't create the resentment. But if you say, well, I'm sacrificing your game for his game, it creates that it's a much, if you listen to it, I am sacrificing your game for his game. I am serving them today, and next time I serve you. The sacrifice sounds really harsh. It's like very dense, very like needles.
Yes.
Someone is hitting you with needles.
Absolutely.
But when you talk about serving from a place of alignment, understanding your needs, what is supporting you right now, as well as people around you, there's a softness around it. Does
Absolutely.
that? Can you feel that?
Want
like
that.
I can really,
1000%. And of course, it's kind of like what I've read in Dale Carnegie's book, when you're trying to give criticism but not be hated for it. Instead of using "but," which signals that there's going to be a negative, or there's going to be opposite. So if I said, "Oh, I love what you do in this and this and this," but they already know. That's what they're listening for right off the back.
Yes.
So you can sit in a meeting and say, go ahead.
Someone taught me 10 years ago, instead of using "but," use "however."
Really?
I love you. However, it's a different, it's an addition to it. It doesn't take away the meaning from what I just said. It adds something to it.
Right.
If you say "but," it literally cancels out what you just said with what comes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like using and then like an if clause. So, and if you continue getting this and this and this, they're not going to look at it as something negative. They're going to be like, oh, these are some really good areas. You see what I mean? And again, this is all centered around, I think that's a brilliant technique. So when it comes down to it, especially, oh my God, I had it in my mind. I think it just went away because I was just so in tune. But the different, it was something about some kind of levels, but the levels are gone now. I don't know where the levels went. They just went right out the door. But anyways, if we look at someone who's trying, here we go. This is one that I wanted to ask you earlier. People want instant gratification. And they're like, okay, well, I'm going to be grateful today and tomorrow I'm not. It doesn't work like that. This has to be this is a never ending practice. And you have no idea. It's kind of like, again, the law of attraction. And it's funny because Vishen Lakhiani of the Mind Valley, he kind of he tries to downplay the entire law of attraction. But to be honest with you, 2006, this is when everything began happening shortly after that. You know what I mean? With all these coaches, Mind Valley, obviously, Tony Robbins became really big, and this, all those things. You know what I mean? But what was I trying to say? When it comes to instant gratification, that's never going to work. And I still feel that we're going back into the what's in it for me. Like, okay, I want it like this, and I deserve to have it by this day or this day. But you never know when, whatever you put out there in terms of gratification, you have no idea when it'll come back. But a lot of people are attached to when it will come back.
Now, and this is a time. And I think that's where it's great to have a timeline, especially when you set goals. But so many people are so attached to goals that it's actually not serving them, that they get anxious the closer they get to the goal setting and they can't fulfill on it. I've seen that with so many clients, and I've seen it with myself. I hated my coaches for doing that because it created such an incredible level of anxiety for me. It just never worked for me. But the instant gratification, the problem with that is that we lose connection. When we want something instantaneously and we want it now, we lose connection to everything around us and within us, because all we focus on is the now, and we want this now and we don't have it yet. You know, those we're very much in our heads, and it takes away from the connection, the power of connection, right? That instant gratification mindset in our society is what kills us. Literally, what kills us. That is what nature is now responding to, where nature is trying to teach us a lesson and saying instant gratification is not working. You can cut my tree down today, but you haven't even thought of the results of what that will do in a long term. But you wanted it instantly right now because for whatever reason, paper and other stuff that you wanted to need it. And, you know, instant gratification will destroy us if we don't stop, if we don't get back to that deeper connection, deeper connection within ourselves, meaning that translates out into how we relate to other people, how we relate to nature, how we feel connected to all that is the divine force.
It's a beautiful thing. What would you suggest to everyone out there in terms of, it could be any type of gratitude practices. It could be things that you do, but maybe that, I don't know, maybe they're advanced. Some people might say, oh, that's really hard to do. So maybe it could be the smaller things, or just, you know, just practice it, and how routine becomes part of your hardware within your mind. Because a lot of people need to understand that if you do it on a Monday, then on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it will become part of your routine. It will become that hardware. It will become part of your subconscious mind. It's kind of like everything is in autopilot when we wake up. We wake up, we open our eyes. You can't wake up and just you have your eyes closed and just run into shit, right? You got to open your eyes. So what are some things that you would suggest to other people out there in the world who are listening to this?
Well, the most obvious that you hear pretty much say, everyone write down 5 things that you're grateful for. But even that, after a week, probably will kind of lose its, yeah.
I love it.
Where did I put my list again? Somewhere. But for one, what helps me, especially when I find myself in a state of challenge, where I feel like I'm struggling right now, where I'm in a mindset, I go outside. I go outside and I look at everything that looks pretty. Like, oh my gosh, I love this tree. Thank you so much for serving me. I love this flower. Thank you so much for serving me. I love this grass. Thank you so much for giving me something to stand on. I love this. I don't know. Look at the birds. I love the birds. Thank you for spreading the seeds so that we can have pollinators continuously and food actually on the table. All those things, like just going outside, like doing something physical in the moment and just saying thank you to all that is, or even to yourself. Thank you for feeling how you feel right now, and it is okay. I know you're trying to tell me something and I'm figuring it out. I will understand it eventually. So thank you for allowing me to see that. And there are just so many different things that you can just look around and say, hey, this is actually really beautiful, like the moon. Okay, now it kind of went over there. Yeah. But it's so beautiful, and I just sit and I'm like, well, I'm actually tired, but hey, thank you for shining some light into my office with so much beauty. And those little things, but you have to be aware of when you get into that state of life sucks. You know, you can give yourself time, but then set the time, like set an alarm clock and say, okay, for 10 minutes I'm just gonna totally complain. I give myself the time to complain, to get the energy out, and then I think time for allowing me to have that period where I can just get it out. It doesn't mean if you run around and be grateful all day long that nothing bad happens to you, or that you don't have times where you're like, oh man, I wish it would be different, or I wish this would work out a little faster. But when you catch it, you can say, well, thank you for allowing me to have this time to work through some of the things and the lessons to learn, so that I can fully enjoy what will come, what is there for me to discover. Yes. Something that I also do, which is very easy to do. Most of you know the love sign, sign language for love. You just use that, and yeah. Um, even sign language has energy around it, just like words. And if you do that, you put your hand over your heart and you just say in the name of the divine force or Holy Spirit or whatever you want to do. You don't even have to say that. Just say, I'm activating love and trust and safety within every single cell of my body. I do that almost every day. I do that before every interview. I do that before I go outside. I feel more protected. When I'm in the state of love and I can truly believe that I can activate love within every single cell, the energy, the frequency of love in my cells, because that's what we're attuned to. That is our natural state of being, because that's who we are at our core and our essence. Things tend to flow more easily and more naturally. And that's something, you don't have to get out a pen and paper. You don't have to actually put much effort into doing that. You just have to remember what the sign is for love, and I hope everyone does, because it's like so simple. Yeah. And you just do it. I'm activating unconditional love and safety and trust within every single cell of my body. And if you have to, you do it 1,000 times a day until you really starting to believe and you can feel it. I'm at this point now. I've been doing this for, I don't know, over 5 years probably, where I can feel it. It's almost like an energy expanding from my heart all throughout my entire body. And it shifts how I experience and see things. It just kind of almost like it lifts a veil, that the cloud that was over that just couldn't see the beauty. And those are really easy exercises you can do every day whenever you notice you're feeling a little down. I'm activating unconditional love and safety and trust within every single cell of my body.
Wow.
It's super easy, super simple. Anyone can do it. Eventually, you just have to actually believe what you say. Yeah, but you can, even if you're not really at this point where like, oh, that's probably all just, in German we say Humbug. It's just Humbug. Eventually you will feel it. Like when you say that, pay attention how your energy is moving through your body. The more attention you pay, the more you recognize that it's actually working. And once you recognize that it's working, you start believing it.
Wow. Isabel, man, almost 10 p.m. your time. You shared so much here, your story. And first, big congratulations to this wonderful documentary you got going right now.
Thank you. Again, if anyone is watching and wants to sponsor part of it, hey, we're open. We're having fundraiser going.
Yes. And I'm going to make sure I put the link, because she is receiving donations, everyone, in terms of like the funding, the project and whatnot. So I'll make sure I put all of those links in the description if you guys are interested, and then as well as her links to everything she has. And Saturday, of course, we're doing this before Saturday, but today they're listening to this. It is Saturday, Thailand time. But anyways, it's Friday, the rest of the world time, I think, kind of, something like that. But I just get confused. And I'm going to start uploading these at like 12 a.m. too. But nonetheless, I just love it because, again, you were talking about Thanksgiving and how I feel so much. So that's why I really wanted to open up this series and say, how can I get in a state of gratitude? Because Thanksgiving and that turkey, I'm so sorry, turkey, got to chop you up and you taste real good. I promise I won't put you to waste. And all of these wonderful things and people and circumstances and chatters and conversations and hugs. Oh, my God, I just love it. You don't have to. Thanksgiving, it's not about what has happened in America, and especially not the past, because it's all tainted. Thanksgiving is about thanks and about giving. You see what I mean? And so let's separate the two.
Most countries actually celebrate that in October. It's called, in German, it's called Erntedank.
Oh.
It's when the harvest season. It's the end of the harvest season, and that's when we say thank you for all that we have been able to harvest. So in most countries, it's actually in October.
Gotcha. Was it Canada or somewhere?
Yeah. It's October as well.
Oh, that is so cool. See, there you go, guys. And you know what? You don't have to wait for once a year to, get into the state of gratitude. Isabel has given you everything on this podcast and on this video, whatever it may be that you're watching this on. So Isabel, oh my God. We will be bringing you back on for a live show and a couple of other things to top this wonderful year off. And I'm going to make sure I put all your links in the description down below. Is there anything else you want to share to the masses out there in the world?
No, but
No.
since we're getting close to
I'm like, damn, I blew that one.
No. But since we're getting toward the end of the year, I think it is really important for each one of us to just sit down at least a day or two and just evaluate all the great things that have happened. Even if it doesn't seem like it in the very moment, but just little things. Hey, I had a shower every day, or at least every other day. I had food on I didn't die yet, those kind of things. Like, no matter what the circumstances are, if you can sit down and make a list, you're still alive. And that's one reason to be grateful and thankful for. And just evaluating the year before you tap into the new year in particular, because otherwise you're dragging all this energy from the old year into the new, and you wonder why nothing changes.
Absolutely.
Because you haven't let anything go.
And that's the most pivotal part, because we're coming up on New Year's. Oh my God, everyone out there, they're going to be making all these lists, resolutions. They're looking to resolve things. I've been over this year after year after year.
I don't.
Guys,
I literally just do meditation with I thank the entire year, everything that has happened, everyone who was in it. I'm thanking the collective energy and teaching me the lessons that I needed to for 2019. And then I'm letting go of the energy that's no longer serving me, so I do not take it into 2020. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not making lists. I'm not going to set crazy goals. I have my goals in my head, but I'm not attached to how they unfold.
Oh, I like that. See, I'm telling you, man. Isabel. Okay. She speaks the truth. Isabel can make pigs fly. I'm telling you, man. She's got the voice of an army. But nonetheless, probably not that bravado, but that soft spoken. Come on, pigs, let's fly. I'm kidding. But anyways,
and then they do.
And then they're like, oh, and I'm like, oh, God, Isabel, I knew it. Okay, so anyways, man, plum pleasing pleasure. Thank you as always. And for everyone who is listening to me around the world, if you guys like to share it, reach out to Isabel, reach out to us. Let us know how this has resonated with you in the YouTube comment section or wherever you see this in general. So with that being said, guys, stay tuned for more. That's interviewee number 2. The one that can make the pigs fly. Stay tuned for more. Did I just say that? Stay tuned for more. Number 3. Over and out.